A couple weeks ago, Lamelo Ball was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Naz Reid and some picks. I feel like the initial reaction to the trade was very positive and a lot of excitement just because Lamelo Ball is one of the most exciting players in basketball. And even though there had been trade rumors around Lamelo for a little bit now, it really didn't feel like he was going to get traded this soon. And once the initial excitement of the trade wore off, I think a lot of people started looking at it more positively from the Hornets side of view and more negatively from the Timberwolves. And I think the main point of the people who think the Hornets won the trade is that Lamelo is just not going to get any higher in value than he was when the Hornets traded him. He's just coming off a really good second half of the season where he made the Hornets an actual winning basketball team, and it looks like they were starting to turn things around. And prior to this winning run that they went on, it felt like Lamelo was kind of losing his status around the league. He had made an all-star team, but people were getting tired of the hero ball. They were getting tired of the turnovers. They were getting tired of the antics, the off-the-court stuff. So his value was as low as ever before the second half of this season. So for the Hornets to get what they did is actually a very good job on them. That being said, I do think LaMelo Ball honestly is a tier 1 talent in the NBA. And when he is in a position where, the coaches are really going to challenge him, where he's in a position where other players are challenging him, I think that we'll see a different player. Getting drafted to the Hornets is not a good thing for any young player's career, much less someone like LaMelo Ball who, for lack of a better term, he's kind of a goofball. And no, obviously this trade does not make the Timberwolves contenders right away. But I think it does really address a lot of their problems that they had last season, which was that nobody outside of Anthony Edwards on the roster was really a creative threat. And LaMelo Ball is the definition of creative. The thing that I love about this trade is that Ant and LaMelo's games complement each other beautifully. Anthony Edwards this season only played 61 games, but was the one in the 100th percentile, meaning nobody was better than him in terms of catch and shoot 3-point percentage. But he was only in the 8th percentile, meaning 98% of players took more spot-up jump shots than Anthony Edwards in the NBA last season. So this is something that he's better than anyone in the league at, and he's doing it almost less than anybody in the league. So LaMelo is going to do an amazing job of being able to free Ant from being on the ball and letting him use his elite catch and shoot 3-point shooting, and overall just getting Ant better shots. And averaged 29 points a game last season, and he averaged 29 points on one of the most difficult shot diets in the NBA. He was 4th in terms of isolation percentage in the NBA, and while obviously you want to have Ant in a position where he can get isolations and get high quality shots for himself, you don't want that burden on him constantly, and especially in the playoffs, because that's what came back to bite him and ultimately led to them losing to the Spurs. So not only is LaMelo going to create higher quality 3-point looks for Ant, but he's going to do it for the rest of the Timberwolves as well. Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch mentioned how much better other players shoot when he's on the floor, and just overall had great things to say about him and kind of dispelled some of the rumors that people spread about LaMelo in terms of his character. And I really think LaMelo is going to benefit from having a coach in Finch who's not only going to challenge him, but is also going to back him and put his arm around him when he needs it. And LaMelo is able to create great shots for his teammates because he just keeps the pace pushing no matter what. Whether it's in transition or even in the half court, LaMelo is always looking up and always looking to make the next pass and always looking to make something happen. But he does it with such a knack and such a natural feel for basketball. And although Melo's offensive value is pretty obvious with what he provides to the Timberwolves, I think something that's pretty underrated about him is that he's not a bad defender when he's engaged. And I think you could say that about a lot of people, but a lot of players don't have the physical tools that LaMelo Ball has. Melo has extremely quick hands, he's 6'8", and when he wants to, he can move his feet. So there's no reason why Melo can't be a plus defender next to Ant, next to Jaden McDaniels, next to Ayo Dosunmu, especially when you have Rudy Gobert backing you up. Now, sometimes we see that have the opposite effect where players feel like they can just let their guy go by them because they know Rudy's going to handle it. But hopefully Melo feels empowered to put pressure on defenders and really get into their body. So if he gets blown by, he uses Rudy as a failsafe and not as something that lets him be lazy. The Timberwolves do lack size in forward areas, seeing as their power forward rotation is pretty empty, pretty much Jaden McDaniels and Trey Lyles at this point. So LaMelo's going to have to do a good job of sizing up and defending bigger guys most likely, especially if Ayo is going to start, which he most likely will with the contract the Timberwolves just gave him. But even besides all of the stats and things that point to this LaMelo Ball trade being good for the Hornets, I honestly think that the mood around the team and Anthony Edwards' attitude towards the Timberwolves front office really is the main positive to take away from the Timberwolves. Not every trade is immediately going to push you into championship contention. And Anthony Edwards, by many reports, was getting frustrated with the Timberwolves and their direction. They traded Karl Anthony Towns, and Ant sees him go and win a championship with the Knicks, and even prior to that, it was feeling like Ant was going to force his way out eventually. Like, it was only a matter of time. The Timberwolves trading for Lamelo, someone that really is probably going to get along really well with Ant and just make the Timberwolves a brighter locker room and a more fun team in general, will go a long way to keeping him on the roster. So no, I don't think this trade will immediately push the Timberwolves into championship contention, like I said, but it definitely makes them a better team, makes them a more fun team, and maybe down the line, once they can get off the Rudy Gobert contract, they can make some additional moves and really push this team over the top, because Ant and LaMelo Ball are definitely more than good enough to be two of the top 3 best players on a championship team. They just have to build a roster around them, which of course is easier said than done. But I think Ant and LaMelo are a very good foundation.